Hi everyone, it's Helen Griffin here and thank you for joining me today. So today we're going to be making this gorgeous picnic basket, and it's fully functioning as well. So it's got a double lift up lid here so you can fit all of your goodies inside, and I'll be showing you all of the dies that I've used today and the stamps to actually make this project. So I've not just stuck with the picnic basket, I have taken some other things from my range. So this is the pillow box die, the square pillow box die. I absolutely love this one, and I've used the same theme throughout all of it, so it's all themed. And then I also have this card here as well. It's just a little 4x4 and it's heat embossed with silver embossing. I just love how these have turned out, and this is just a handmade envelope using copier paper and a stamp set and the envelope punch board made for a 4x4 card. So this will make a perfect lovely gift for giving away. Right, so this is the picnic basket. This is what we're going to be making today, and stay tuned and I'll show you exactly how I made it. Okay, so to make the base of the picnic basket, you're going to be needing the Loaf tin die from Simply Made Crafts, and we're going to be using this large one here. So you are going to be needing a large format die cutting machine. So something like, I'll be using the Gemini, that will be the larger one, not the Junior, the larger one. So let's move all of these aside. You can actually add these to your basket afterwards. I mean, this one is so lovely here. This is going to make a lovely bow, but we're going to be using another die set to decorate it, to make it all summery. Let's move all of these aside. So this is going to be making the base. So this is my prototype here. So this is the base here, and we'll be making this separately. And I absolutely love this colour as well. So I'll show you the card. This one was made from Petrol Blue. This one is made from Creative Expressions Foundation card. Love this card. But today we're going to be using a pastel green. So I'm going to be taking two of these sheets out because we're going to be using two of them. One for the base and one for the lid. Right, so let's get our cutting plates out. So if you're going to be using the Gemini, I like to use the rubber mat instead of the magnetic mat. So let's pop that down. That in the middle, and then I have here the plastic shim, the rubber mat, and then the cutting plate at the top. Okay, so let's run that through the machine. Okay, so here it is. So now we can do some stamping. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper. This is just going to go behind it, so I'm going to be stamping all over there. Just double check where my lines are. I'm going to be folding it inwards, so I want to be stamping on that side. So we have the sharper score lines on the inside. I always do that if I have a die cut that's gone through the machine and been scored, but if it's the other way and you've used a scoring board, I always fold the other way. So we're going to keep it down that way, and the stamp set that we're going to be using is the Winter Collection Woodland, Sprig and stamp set. So I absolutely love these. These are some of my favourites. So we're going to be using this one today. I'm just going to get these out ready. Move those aside, and we're going to be using this stamp here. So let's mount that up. I'm going to go diagonally here, and I'm also going to be using a green ink pad. I've made that a bit dirty there. I obviously didn't clean my stamp from previous stamping, so let's try and cover that up. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just randomly stamp this leaf stamp all over. Try and change the direction of the leaf stamp as well, just to give it a little bit of variation. Okay, so I'm just finishing off here, just making sure that some of these overlap along the edge, so they kind of like disappear off the edge there. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. These sections here are going to be mostly covered by these flaps here. Okay, so what we have to do now is just fold down our score lines. You can use a bone folder as well, just to make sure you get some really good folds. Okay, so now it's time to add our glue. So these flaps are going to be on the outside of these flaps that come up there. So let's grab our glue. I'll be using Cosmic Shimmer today. So we're going to add them to the insides of the flaps there. This is a new glue, so I'm still trying to get this one going. There we go. And because this glue dries super fast, there's not much time needed for me to just stand here and hold that in place. It's stuck down straight away. And it will also dry clear as well, so it's absolutely perfect for making your 3D projects. So do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going right up to the score line and around the curvy edges. Let's move this out of the way. We don't need that anymore. Okay, we can put this glue away now for the time being. This does have has a habit of drying just at the nib there if you leave the top off for a lengthy amount of time. Okay, so that's our base done. We're going to move that aside and we're going to work on our picnic basket lid. So grab your other sheet of paper or cardstock. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer out here and we're going to trim this down to 4 3/8 by, so that's 4 3/8 by 7 3/4. Double check that you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes I have a habit of having this up too high, but I'm doing okay today. Alright, 7 3/4. So I'm just going to move this aside here and I'm going to write the dimensions just here for you for where you need to cut, and then I'll do it again for the score lines you're going to need to put in. So grab your scoreboard. Just trying to grab mine without knocking everything off my shelf. Okay, so we're going to score 1/2 inch on all of the 4 sides. Okay, so it's going to look like this. And then in landscape, which is this orientation, so we have the long side across the top, we are going to score at 3 1/2 and 4 1/4. So this middle section is going to be the stationary part of the picnic basket. I'm going to keep my bone folder out as well. So what we're going to do now is fold all of our score lines these are going to go the other way. Okay, so it's coming together. You can kind of see where it's at now. So now we need to do some cutting. So I'm going to taper off the ends first. So here we have the intersection just here. So we're going to cut just across there, straight across, right through where the lines meet, just like that. And then we're going to do that on all of the four corners. Okay, and here we are going to cut just up to the first line. Exactly the same on the other side. There we go. So these are going to attach to the inside of the basket, these two flaps here, and these are going to be completely free moving. They're going to add, be the sort of bits that tuck inside the picnic basket. So it's going to work just like so. Right, so now for the slightly tricky bit, we're going to be adding this to the inside, or to the top of the picnic basket. So for a dry run, these two flaps are going to go on the inside, and to help us position it properly, we're going to have all the other flaps on the outside, just like that. So we can then line up the top of the picnic basket perfectly and have the middle section glued in the right place. So now we're going to add our glue and repeat that exactly. So grab your glue again. Going right up to the score line. I'm going to do it on both of those. Okay, so we want, these two on the inside. This is where you wish you were an octopus and had loads of spare hands just to get everything in the right place. So we're going to slide that in and then tuck everything else out, and then this is in the wrong place, so I'm going to slide it along, fold everything down just so that I know it is in the right place. It's looking like it is, and I'm just going to very carefully push down the sides here, and then I'm going to leave it a couple of minutes before I try and lift up these flaps, because I do want to get my hands in there and kind of press down as well. So we'll give that a few minutes. So I'm just going to make sure that this is down properly and it's all lined up. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to very carefully hold on to the sides here. I'm going to just press down there. I'm doing this without moving this middle section. So I'm just moving this section and making sure the middle section does not move. And now I'm just going to press down. Okay, so I'm going to give that a few minutes to dry. So now we can now work on our handle, which is very easy because we have this piece of paper. I keep saying paper, it's cardstock. I have this left over. Just grabbing my guillotine here, and I need my ruler just to make sure that I do cut the right part. So the part that is 8 1/4 inch needs to be in this position. So the 8 1/4 needs to be running down this end, and we're going to cut it at 3/4 of an inch. So that's 8 1/4, so 8 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch. And all we're simply going to do is add this to this section here. So another thing you can possibly even do is continue stamping along the top of here, but I'm going to be adding some mats. If you don't want to add the mats, you can then just stamp on this before you put it together. So I'm going to add one end of the handle first and give it a few moments just to set before adding the other handle. So Let's get everything tucked inside there. There we go. So I do want it lined up with the middle section because it measures exactly the same width. Okay, so that's pretty much straight, and this section here is going to be covered. So let's tuck that one in. That's had a few moments to dry now. Do exactly the same here. The lower down you go, the smaller your handle will be. But obviously, if you don't leave, there's a very small amount there, it's not going to be entirely strong either. So we need to get the good amount of coverage. Okay, so I'm happy with that handle. So this all tucks in. There we go. It's really coming together now. So now we can decorate. So let's go back to that die set, that the Woodland Sprigs. I have some already cut out here, so I've used this leaf die and this flower here, and it also cuts out the centre as well, so I'm going to be swapping over the centres. So the light pink are going to have the dark pink and vice versa, and we'll be gluing those down after we've put on the main flowers. So I do have a flower kit here. It's a flower shaping kit. It's by Tonic. It does all of the different rounded ends there, and it also comes with this mat as well. So I have here two that I've not done, and all we do is just press down on each petal, not so hard that it's going to rip or anything like that. As you can see, there's some very small gaps where all the petals join together, so do be very careful around those sections. Okay, so those have been shaped. I think this one might need a little bit more. And then we're going to take the centres. I've left myself two more to do. So just press those down into the centre, and that is going to give them a lovely shape. So now we can decorate the front the basket, so you can decorate this however you wish. So I'm thinking this side is much better. My stamping went a little better on this one than it did on that one. Oh yeah, and don't forget to stamp across the top of the handle as well. So I have 3 of the bright pinks and 3 of the light pinks, so I'm going to do something like this. And then we'll have the centres in there too, and then I will probably decorate with a leaf, a glittery leaf as well. And then we're going to add the alternating centres just like that. So I'm going to get everything glued down, and then I'll be right back to show you what I've done. Okay, so I'm getting my mats ready now. So I've decorated the picnic basket. So I have 4 mats here, all from the same cardstock from the same as the picnic basket. So I have 2 different sizes, so they're exactly the same. So they're going to sit on top of here just like so. So I'll give you some measurements for these ones. So the larger mat measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/8, and the smaller mat measures 2 1/2 by 2 7/8. So what we're going to do is, on the smaller mat, we're going to use our leaf stamp again, just going off the edges and in the centre as well, just doing the same theme as the rest of the basket. There we go. Do exactly the same on the other one that's the same size, so the smaller one. There we go, and that's the smaller ones done. So for the larger one, I don't actually have a shade of cardstock in this darker colour, so I'm just going to take my ink pad, I'm just going to rub it along the edges. We're just going to ink the edges. So that when we add this on there, it's the darker colour and it's all going to match the same shade as the stamping. And this has gone on quite dark, but as it's a dye ink, it's still going to be wet inside the cardstock. And I'm not going to be too bothered about having so much of an even coverage either, so this will dry lighter once it's dry. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other one. Okay, so now we can layer these together. As I said before, if you want to skip this step and not have the mats on, just make sure you stamp the lid before you assemble everything together. Okay, so those are the mats. Now we can glue those on here, just on the top there. So that's what it's going to look like. Okay, so that is our picnic basket done. So you can carry on adding extra things if you want to kind of just make it extra floral. You can add some ribbons as well, so I may just end up adding a ribbon around the whole thing, especially if you have a lid that doesn't want to stay down. So that's our picnic basket. I hope you really enjoyed this project, and don't forget to check out Simply Made Crafts range on the CraftStash website. The link for that will be down below. So this is Helen, and thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.